Pele is being mourned today by the entire sports fraternity and by his legion of fans, not just in Brazil, but all over the world. Three of this generation's most highly rated footballers, Brazilian superstar Neymar, Argentina's World Cup winner Lionel Messi and Portugal captain Cristiano Ronaldo, led the tributes for the legend. Neymar, the heir to Pele's famed number 10 jersey, wrote on Instagram, and I quote, "Before Pele, football was just a sport. He transformed it into an art and entertainment. He has gone, but his magic will remain." Messi bid the three-time World Cup winner farewell in a tweet with pictures of himself and the king. He wrote, "Rest in peace, Pele." Ronaldo also paid his tribute to the Brazilian great in a long note on Instagram along with a photograph. He wrote, "A mere goodbye to the eternal King Pele will never be enough to express the pain the entire football world is currently experiencing." French forward and 2018 World Cup winner Kylian Mbappe said, "The king of football has left us with his legacy. Will never be forgotten." And to talk about Pele's legacy, which can simply not be forgotten, we're now joined by Chandresh Narayan from Mumbai. He's the author of 75 Years of Indian Sports and a broadcaster as well. Mr. Narayanan, thank you very much for speaking to WION. Now, the world is in mourning today. There have been many great players, but no one even comes close to Pele. For his country, Brazil, he is probably the greatest son they've ever had. What did Pele mean, according to you, to the sport of football and to his country?
Thanks a lot for having me. I think it's a very sad day for the world of sport, not just for world of football, because of the sheer magnitude of the records that Pele set when he was on the field. And I think that he was a great son, not just for Brazil, but for the whole sporting world. He's an icon who would never be forgotten. And the fact that he's the only footballer to have won 3 World Cups makes it an even outstanding achievement from that man. And he left a legacy, which was something that everybody strove to be like him. And I think the number of goals he scored, his sheer presence on the field. You know, we sometimes discount the fact that these kind of geniuses come across once in a lifetime. And I think the fact that even after so many years after he left the game, people still spoke about him so highly, just explains to us what an impact he left as a footballer during his lifetime, not just for Brazil, but for the entire world.
Right. Now, clearly, he meant a lot to the world of not just football, but like you said, to the world of sports, to his country. He's probably the greatest Brazilian to have ever walked the planet. Let's talk a little bit about Pele's visit to India. He came back in 1977 to play in Kolkata. Do you have any memories that you can share with us of how he was welcomed back then in India?
I think Pele's visit to India has been immortalized forever by an Indian film, Golmaal. If you remember the movie, remember the way Utpal Dutt asked a question to Amol Palekar, and it will never be forgotten because that's the kind of impact he had. And this is 79 when this movie came out. And Pele came to India in 1977 with the Cosmos side, the New York Cosmos side. And the entire Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose airport was agog with people, full of people trying to welcome who's like a demigod in many parts of the world, especially in West Bengal, because of the kind of badness that exists in that part of the world. And remember, he was 48 when he landed in India. So it just shows the kind of impact he had much after he had left playing active football. and they played aside the Mohan Bagan side, and it was a fantastic occasion, and it was an exhibition match which was played at the Eden Gardens, another iconic venue. So I think that overall it was a moment that I think whoever was present that day in Calcutta will never forget, because that was the only occasion that he got to see the man in flesh and blood one final time in India. And I think that it's a moment that every Bengali who was at the ground that day would remember forever. And he was still magical that day. That's what I'm told, because I wasn't born then, but he was still magical. We see some photos of him, and you see the entire ground being full of people over there that day. I think it's a moment that I think no footballer or no footballing fan will ever forget.
Well, absolutely. The man cannot be forgotten ever. Now, considering the fact that tributes have come pouring in, not just from his legion of fans, but from the greatest footballers of the current generation, that does tell us a lot about what an inspiration he has been to so many generations of footballers.
Absolutely. Sports generally has one genius who sort of leave behind a legacy that everybody's tried to achieve. Like hockey had Dhyan Chand, Major Dhyan Chand, for example. Cricket had Sir Donald Bradman. Football had Pele. And I think that everybody strove, like I said previously, strove to be like Pele. And he was the benchmark when it came to achieving something in football, because he had done something that no other footballer had ever done. The number of goals he scored. He scored about 1,200 goals throughout his career. And he won the World Cup thrice. And he started off when he was 17. So you can imagine he made an instant impact from the time he started playing for Brazil. And I think that from there on, he never looked back. And he left, and he was magical. When you look at the kind of impact he had the same impact on the sport that, like I spoke about the other champions of other sports, and that's why he's revered forever. Muhammad Ali in boxing, for example. So these kind of champions, these kind of geniuses come once in a generation. Hence, we'll never ever forget him, and his impact will be spoken about forever till mankind is around.
All right, Mr. Chandresh Narayanan, thank you so much for speaking to WION and sharing with us your thoughts on a day which has witnessed a massive loss, not just to football, but to the world of sports itself. The world is poorer today, thanks to Pele's passing. Thanks so much for speaking to us.